So, important new detail here. David Miller reported last night. I tried to make a video, but I had prior arrangements. David Miller's quoting, obviously, on the way to prescribing the IRGC, which is the Iranian military. Surprise, surprise. But before I get into this, it seems strange to me, like, because they were attacked unprovoked, their leader was killed, assassinated. All them children died at the Manab school tragedy. R.I.P. to all of them beautiful little girls. But now, because they defend themselves, they concoct this whole notion. But we'll get into it. David Miller writes, I see the government has designated the IRGC as an organisation under the new National Security State Threats Act 2026, which is a new act. The designation notice has not yet been published but will be shortly, hence why I'm making this video. They are not prescribing the IRGC as a terrorist group. Instead, the new legislation, they are using language similar to that found in the Terrorism Act 2000. Here is Section 17A of the new legislation. 1. A person commits an offence if the person A. invites support for or expresses an opinion or belief that is supportive of a designated body, and B. does so for prohibited purpose. This contrasts with the Terrorism Act 2000, which said a person commits an offence if A. he invites support for a prescribed organisation. This was extended by the Counter-Terrorism and Border Security Act 2019 by adding the following language. A person commits an offence if the person A. expresses an opinion or belief that is supportive of a prescribed organisation. The supportive language was added because it was so difficult to gain successful convictions with the tighter language. Thus we see this opaque and frankly risible supportive. How can that be defined? Take the statement that IRGC was successful in hitting all of its targets last night. Is that supportive, even if true? And this is the thing. They make these particularly vague. They do it on purpose. And like you say, if journalists are reporting on things and they've struck targets and they've been successful, does that mean you're being supportive? It's very, very vague, like very opaque, as David Miller says. But note also that Note also that there are also provisions in 17B on assisting a designated body. This includes conduct that may be likely to materially assist a designated body, includes providing or providing access to information, goods, services, or financial benefits. Information, whether directly or indirectly. And in 19C on obtaining, etc., material benefiting from a designated body, there's the following language, which on the face of it is the most worrying. 2. A person commits an offence if the person agrees to accept material benefit. And material benefits may include financial benefits, anything which has the potential to result in a financial benefit, and information. So if you get information, that means you've committed an offence. What offence? It's baffling. Like, the inclusion of information here is the critical thing. Reporting a statement by a designated body could fall foul of this, regardless if it was true or false. There are, however, two defences worth noting. In relation to information, it is a defence to show that the person has reasonable excuse for that conduct. One imagine that journalism is a reasonable excuse, but let us see. But that's why it's vague. That's why people don't know, like. A second defence is that a material benefit is excluded benefit if A. it provides a reasonable consideration for the provisions of goods or services, and B. the provision of these goods or services does not constitute an offence. So presumably, providing goods and services to the designated body is not forbidden. There are other defences available, but these are to my mind the most important. Like, what's the national threat? What is the national threat of the IRGC to the UK? Oh, hang on, we know, don't we? We know. Where is it? We need to defend UK citizens. Not all of them, just some of them. And here was Yvette Cooper speaking about it
Iran and Russia cannot be allowed to use different proxy organisations to threaten security and safety on Britain's streets. That is completely wrong, and that's why we've taken this action. I have felt very strongly about this, particularly around the IRGC-backed threats for a long time, and that's why I pushed for us to change the law in the UK. That's what we've done now. That process is complete, and that's why we're ready to take these steps and designate these organisations to stop them threatening the UK.
Is there any new intelligence suggesting that there isn't a fresh threat on UK soil?
Well, we've been responding to a series of cases where we have...
Sorry, so the reporter asked, is there a fresh threat, fresh intelligence? And basically the answer is no. We have been responding like, bro, come on.
Had both Iran and Russia-backed threats on UK soil, and we cannot allow the safety on British streets to be threatened. And that's why we've taken this action. We've changed the law to make that possible, and now we're taking this action to make sure that we protect the British people and British residents against these threats.
Obviously, I have to bite my tongue, like, but there you go, David Miller again. There's literally no threat on Britain's streets from the IRGC. It is simply conjured out of thin air by 1, the invention of Mossad on an allegedly pro-Iran terror group, and 2, by nonsense propaganda in the media directed by British spooks via their new toy, the Hybrid Threats Directorate in the Foreign Office. I have no idea if Yvette Cooper believes the nonsense briefing she gets from the Met, MI5 and the rest of British spooky. But they are neither believable nor true. And it was the whole Golders Green thing. The arson attacks. Straight away when it happened, oh, it must have been Iran. But come to find out, it was English white men. But then they said, oh no, they were paid through Telegram. The red hand, or the black hand of Iran, or this group that they just made up, like, basically. But oh no, they paid them on Telegram. Yeah, they're directing it. Like, no, it's, whether there was just, that's it there. And here we'll get into basically what I was saying there. This whole prescription, i.e. adding to the laws to make it an offence to speak out about certain things or speak positively about certain things, which I'm not. I'm just reporting on the news. But the Liberation News Network said yesterday this is all based on the totally unproven assertion that the IRGC were behind various attacks in London earlier this year, including an arson attack on the Jewish ambulance service. These claims are dodgy, as the claim that the Russians were behind the arson attack on Keir Starmer's former properties by the Ukrainian male models. Doesn't sound very Russian, does it? The real purpose of declaring the IRGC to be a terrorist organisation are A, they give even more power to the intelligence service and police agencies to arrest people. B, to give these same agencies more power to seize funds. C, to delegitimise the Iranian state by labelling one part of its armed forces terrorists. And this is the whole thing, like. Do you think it's just a coincidence that it seems to be whoever the IDF are fighting are terrorists, even if the IDF attack first, invade first? But you can't defend your land or you're a terrorist, like. And this is how they've got around people being critical of the IDF. And again, I'll reiterate, like, being critical of the IDF or Israeli government is not anti-Semitic. Look how many Jews there are on these marches, these Palestine solidarity marches. So they're anti-Semitic, but they're Jews. Like, it makes no sense. Regardless of one's opinion on the war against Iran or the nature of the Islamic Republic, this move must be opposed. The arbitrary labelling of foreign governments as terrorists is about restricting democratic rights here in Britain itself. Anyone who generally supports free speech must oppose this. Well, it's clear we don't have free speech here in the UK. We don't, like. You know, it's like, well, it's mental. And it is. I'll just quickly scroll down back to that one, like. We've got all this money, and there was another thing just passed. I seen on the government website this morning. Is it 60 or 70 billion loan that Ukraine are going to get? We've already contributed 9, and there's another 7.8, I think it was, in a month's time or so. But we've got no money for the councils. We've got no money to help with overcrowding, schools, roads, welfare. But we've got plenty of money. It's embarrassing, it is. It's embarrassing, but I just thought I'd share that. Like, what do you think about it?